This video, I'm going to show you exactly why you keep relapsing and the simple changes you can make to stop this happening. And no, I'm not talking about going to the gym or avoiding people and places. So let's talk about why we always go back and why we always have the best intentions when we first decide to go sober. So the first stage is the honeymoon phase. This is where we come to an agreement with ourselves that we're going to remove alcohol and we're going to remove substances. So this is typically the first 1 to 4 weeks where we've stopped drinking, we've stopped using substance, we are starting to sleep better, we start going to the gym, we start eating better, our skin gets clearer. We're waking up in the morning, instead of waking up and going to work and having like 40% energy, we're fully recharged after the weekend, we're turning up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed on a Monday morning at 100%. And things are great. It feels easy. You're telling everyone around you, like, this is it. I'm done. I'm not drinking alcohol anymore. And at that time, you believe it. You think, do you know what? I finally cracked it. All these years I've been struggling, and this time is the time I make change in my life. But around weeks 3 to 4, things start to drop off, and life just feels a little bit flat. Because the truth is, when we first stop alcohol and we stop doing substance, it's a little bit of novelty, isn't it? You've probably got yourself to a point where I'm going to get to rock bottom and then I'm going to build myself back up. So you've probably had a massive bender on the weekend and then you're going to stop. So obviously you're going to feel better. But slowly but surely, that buzz from being sober starts to wear off. And suddenly, everything just feels normal. It just feels a bit flat. It feels a bit boring. Then doubt starts to creep in and you think to yourself, is this really what life's going to be like? Do I really have to stay in on the weekends on my own, avoiding people and places? Is going to the gym in the morning before work going to be the only highlight of my day? I know this because I was you and I've lived this and I'm now 5 years sober. But the thing is, people usually fail to notice this. They have removed the habit, which is alcohol, using substance, but they've actually failed to replace that habit with something else. You are living in the same life that you've built for yourself because it's only natural because you're only 4 weeks into sobriety. You've never been sober long enough to actually build a life that doesn't involve alcohol and substance. Then you've obviously got the same stress and same triggers. So you're living in this life that you've built upon alcohol. You're doing the same job, you're in the same relationship, you've got the same friends, you do the same things for fun. But the only difference is now you're doing it without alcohol and without substances. And trust me, going to the pub and being sober when everyone's wrecked around you past 9 o'clock isn't really fun. The truth is, you've removed the escape, but you haven't actually removed the life that you're escaping from. Now that's the gap. And that gap feels like boredom. It feels like restlessness. It feels like, is going to be sober really something that's going to be worthwhile for me? The truth is, you didn't actually change. You were living a life on the terms of, I am someone who is trying not to drink, who is trying not to use substance. You're not actually thinking like someone who doesn't use substance. So you're always white knuckling it and you've always got that internal battle that you're trying to stop. Then it becomes on this thing where you're relying on willpower not to drink. So you've got the same habits, you've got the same friends, same lifestyle, same stresses as we've talked about. So you're going to the pub, you're going for food, you're going to the football, you hang around all your mates that you've built a relationship, which is fundamentals of drinking and doing substance. Can you see that we're trying to live two identities? And this is the major shift, so stay with me. So you've got this identity that you've built, which you're trying to escape. Then you've got this identity which you're trying to walk into, but you've never been there before and you don't know what it entails. So you've stopped the habit, but you keep the same identity, and that's always why you end up going back. The truth is, you don't become a different person from being 4 weeks sober. You don't become a different person from being 2 weeks, 2 months sober. You become a different person from being sober long enough where you've gone through the boredom, you've dealt with all the anger and emotions of, I've wasted loads of my life and why am I with this person? Why am I doing this job? Why did I settle for this life? I can do so much better. And you look at your life and you think, there's so much to change. But until you get through that and you get past to 3 months, 6 months, 12 months sober, you don't actually start to form the identity and the lifestyle of someone who just doesn't drink anymore. I know this because it was me. 3 months in, I thought I'm home and dry. 3 months. Went out with my same friends for a dinner, would you believe it? How could I be so naive? Didn't even go for dinner, ended up going to a pub, ended up with a beer in my hand, and then obviously ended up doing a bit of that. Woke up, well, I was still awake the next day, sitting on a balcony in Sydney, didn't have my car, run out of alcohol, run out of cigarettes, and I hadn't slept. And I thought to myself, the camera just cut out then. But anyway, I was sitting on that balcony and I thought the last 3 months felt a little bit boring. I felt like I didn't fit in anywhere, and I was having to deal with all these emotions that I'd swept under the carpet. But sitting on this balcony, being awake and being up all night, that doesn't feel good to me. And it was at that moment where I got to 3 months and I said, you know what, I'm going to persevere. So the answer that you're looking for is 4 to 6 weeks is going to be tough. And what I found with my clients and myself, that's where people usually relapse. What you need to do, you need to build new habits and you need to build a new routine and you need to structure your life in a way where you're avoiding these people and places. You're going to events. You're meeting new friends who don't drink and don't use. You're the average of the 5 people you spend your time with. So if you look at the people that you're spending time with now, if they're drinking and doing alcohol and smoking, then obviously you're going to be the 5th. That being said, you need to remove triggers and cravings to be able to stand a chance to get past 6 weeks. Because the truth is, you've got a craving. That's why you're faltering. But when you don't have cravings, there's nothing to run away from and there's nothing to fall back into. So I have created a video on how to remove triggers and cravings here. But if you want full structure, new routines, new habits, and guidance and implementation, I'm going to leave a link below for you to book a call, and I'm going to explain how I can help you get past 4 to 6 weeks and get 5 years sober plus, just like me. Thanks for watching.